Even with the economical crisis, the Upper East Side continues to be full of luxury restaurants. It doesn't matter how bad things are, as long as people can afford a $10 steak, we'll be convinced that everything is okay. It's closed, and even if it were open, I doubt I'd have gone in. The signboard for one of the many joints in the area. The same guys that championed Prohibition 10 years ago are now regulars at joints where half-naked women serve booze. Times change, hypocrisy remains. This building seems slightly dowdier than the others. Second-class aristocrats must live here. I don't have any reason to go in there. Little Peninsula, rare and limited edition books. There's no question that the matches I found at the port are from here. But how could an antique bookstore on the Upper East Side have anything to do with Sean's death? Maybe I'm on the wrong track, or maybe this bookstore does more than just restoring books. A rather showy signboard for an antique bookstore. It's closed. It's the middle of the night. I don't see why a bookstore should be open at this hour. So, in theory, these crates should contain materials to bind books, or something else useful for an antique bookstore. But I recognize the stamp of booze transports on a couple of these crates. I didn't remember that you needed gin to restore books. Empty boxes, nothing interesting. They've even pasted the alleys with this crap they call electoral campaign. There's a call box near the door. It's the service door for the Little Peninsula. Closed.
Yes?
Hi, is this the Little Peninsula warehouse?
Yes, of course. Can I help you?
I'd like some information.
If you want information about our catalog, you can come by tomorrow morning when we're open. Unfortunately, we're doing inventory at the moment. Unless you reserved a book, I can't be of any help.
I reserved a book.
Can you please give me the title?
Chandler's latest novel.
Chandler. Sorry, we don't have anything by this author.
A 29 Ben-Hur with a misprint on page 159.
Let me check. I'm sorry, sir, we don't have that book. If you come back tomorrow, we can reserve it.
Forget it.
Goodbye.
An inventory in the middle of the night. It might be untrusting, but I don't buy it. There has to be something else under this place. Maybe I could find something interesting in the mailbox about this alleged bookstore. Well, if they use the lie about the inventory, I'll use the lie of being the mailman to get a look at their mail. Nothing to... They're not the right tools for this type of lock. Yes, the license is thin enough to put it through the gap between the box and the counter. Let's see. Perfect. I opened it. Luckily, no one has picked up the mail yet. Let's take a look. It's a telephone bill. It's billed to a guy named Edward Marzetti. I've heard this name before, but where? Maybe it'll come to mind if I think about it. That's right. Greta's show was called Marsetti's Cats. It's not a very common name. It's gotta be the same person. Maybe Greta will be able to tell me something about this guy. I'd better put the bill back in its place.
Where you want to go this time?
Essex Street, Lower East Side.
Okay.
Hi, Greta.
Hi, Jack.
Do you know a certain Edward Marsetti?
Edward Marsetti. I haven't heard his name in years.
So you know him?
Unfortunately, yes. That's someone that I would have rather not known.
How do you know him?
Years ago, when I was still dancing, I worked at this little joint in Little Italy, New Naples. Marsetti was the owner. There were lots of joints like that at the time. There were at least a dozen on the same block. Marsetti bought them all over a few years. He became a sort of godfather in Little Italy. Whichever joint I had a show at, he was the owner.
What kind of guy is he?
The worst kind. He tries to pass himself off as this rich gentleman who supports the arts, theater, and shows. But he's really just a dirty businessman. His only real interests are women and money.
Interesting. Why was his name associated with your show in France?
He was the one who paid for everything. Our dance company was pretty successful here in New York, so Marsetti suggested we go to France. With his typically bad taste, he called the show Marsetti's Cats. Despite the name, it was pretty successful. All the shows were sold out.
Have you ever worked for him again?
No, it's been years since I've been out of that circle.
Do you know the Little Peninsula?
No, is it a joint?
The owner is your friend, Marsetti. It's an antique bookstore on the Upper East Side. At least, that's what it wants to look like.
Marsetti isn't a guy who spends his days talking about literature. There's definitely something underneath the surface.
I'm sure about it. That's why I have to get in. There's a door in the back of the store, but I think that you need a password or a card to get in. Do you know how to get in?
I haven't been to those places in years, Jack. I don't know how I could help you.
Do you still have any friends in that circle? Do you know anyone who knows how to get in that joint?
I know that I'll be sorry for what I'm about to tell you, but I think I know someone who could help you. And it's someone we both know.
Who?
Your friend Smiley.
Smiley?
Right. I think he works for Marsetti now.
How do you know that?
Before you got here tonight, he spent hours telling me about his new job. He never mentioned Marsetti, but he talked about a couple of joints he owned. If he doesn't work for Marsetti, he works for someone who works for him.
So Smiley might know how to get into the Little Peninsula.
Probably.
Let's change the subject. About Smiley.
I hate that guy.
Do you know where I can find him?
Not a clue, Jack. The thing that's important to me is that he stays far away from my joint.
If he really works for Marsetti, he'll know how to get into Little Peninsula.
You're a private detective. You won't have any problems finding out where he lives now.
Rushing into his house isn't an option. That guy isn't as dumb as he looks. He'd be on guard immediately if I showed up in the middle of the night.
So how do you want to see him?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I have a favor to ask you.
Let's see.
It doesn't make any sense. No, nothing. Don't worry.
Whatever.
He is often at the joint.
Tell me about it. He's here every day. He always gets here at 9 p.m., sits down, orders his stupid blueberry cocktail, and plants himself there. I hate him.
Do you have any idea why he always comes to your joint?
Unfortunately, yes. The slimeball decided he wants to marry me. He knows that I'm having a tough time with the joint, and he hopes I'll say yes rather than end up on the street.
That's so like Smiley. I didn't think he had a crush on you.
I'd rather not know it either.
I have a favor to ask you.
Let's see.
If Smiley's really sweet on you, he won't say no to a date with you.
What? You want me to go out with Smiley?
That's the idea.
Jack, it's out of the question. I don't have any intention of going out with him just to do you a favor.
Calm down. You won't have to go out with him. You just have to make sure that he comes here.
What do you mean?
Do you have a telephone upstairs?
Yes?
Okay. Call him and tell him to come to the joint. When he gets here, say you have to go put some makeup on your face or any other thing that you broads do before you go out. And go upstairs and call my office. You have the number. Then I'll take care of Smiley.
Can't you go out with that thug?
Greta, if this wasn't the only way I have to get into Little Peninsula and figure out who that girl is, I would never ask you.
Damn it, Jack. You now owe me 2 favors.
So I guess I'll buy you dinner twice.
You'll have to do a lot more than buy me dinner twice to pay off your debt.
I'll find a way. Call Smiley. I'll wait for the call in my office. If Smiley were to see me here when he got here, he'd get suspicious.
Okay.
Good. This must be Greta. Hello?
Jack, it's Greta.
Is Smiley there?
Yes, it's amazing how quickly he got here.
Typical.
He's downstairs. I came up with the excuse of putting my makeup on, but I can't make him wait all night, so hurry up and come here.
Did he come alone?
Yes, he's alone.
Okay, I'll be there in a second.
Jack, hurry up. I don't want that beast near me for another second.
I'm coming. I'd better head for the Red Tulip. Here's Smiley. Let's see if I can get him to talk.
Detective, what brings you here?
I saw the joint was open and I thought I'd pop in.
I'm afraid it won't be open long, though, since Miss Reed accepted my invitation for this evening.
Congratulations, Smiley. Now besides being a crook, you've become a lady killer.
You aren't jealous, are you?
Jealous of what?
Come on, Detective. Even you aren't immune to the charms of Miss Reed.
I guess she prefers a man of your stature.
You're right. A woman like her needs someone who knows how to make her happy, who showers her with gifts and chauffeurs her around in luxury cars. I don't think that your detective's license gives you that luxury, does it?
Doesn't look like it. Do you know a certain Edward Marzetti?
Marzetti? No, I've never heard the name.
Don't play the fool, Smiley. I know you work for him.
I don't know where you got that information, but it's not true, Detective.
Do you know a place called Little Peninsula?
No, should I?
Damn snake. A nice hook to his solar plexus, and I could get him to say he wears women's underwear. But I can't risk it. I have to find another way to get what I want. See ya, Smiley.
Goodbye, Detective. Goodbye.
Blueberry juice. Only Smiley has the guts to drink this stuff. In all the time I've known him, I've never seen him drink real booze. No clue. At least none that makes any sense. Maybe a little booze will loosen Smiley's tongue. I've never seen anyone let their guard down so much with just a little booze. Let's see what he has with him. Smiley had a few bucks and this piece of paper with him. The Art of Chess by Humphrey DeForest. It looks like the title of a book. I better remember it, and I'd better leave the paper where I found it.
Where you want go this time?
– 65th Street, Upper East Side.
Whatever you want.
Yes?
Hi.
Hello, sir.
I want to talk to Edward Marzetti.
Sorry, but Mr. Marzetti isn't here right now.
When can I find him?
He doesn't come here often. You can try tomorrow morning at the store.
Tomorrow morning might be too late.
Too late for what, sir?
Nothing. Don't worry. I reserved a book.
Can you please give me the title?
The Art of Chess by Humphrey DeForest.
Ah, hi, Mr. Lowerstein. I'll get the door immediately.
So is this how a bookstore's warehouse looks like? I have to start going to bookstores. It looks like they're less boring than what they say. I admire how bad taste is just everywhere in this joint. Even the paintings show a complete lack of taste.
Hello, sir. Do you want something to drink?
Yes, I'll have a whiskey. Make it a double, no rocks.
Sorry, we don't have whiskey.
You don't have whiskey?
We only make cocktails here. We have more than 50 and they're all great. If I may, I'd suggest you order an orange gin. It's our best cocktail.
I bet that's one of those cocktails that has an orange slice, ice, and a little umbrella.
An orange slice, ice, and a nice little umbrella.
I hate umbrellas when it rains, let alone in a drink. Forget about it. I don't want anything.
Whatever you want.
Anyway, I'm looking for Edward Marzetti.
Ah, are you a friend of Mr. Marzetti?
I just have to talk business with him.
I see. But Mr. Marzetti isn't here right now.
Why is the stage empty?
It's just a matter of time. Charlotte's show will start soon.
What's it about?
She's the club's main attraction. She's a belly dancer, and when she performs, there's never a free table.
Belly dancer. Sounds like a good way to relax. Where can I find Marzetti?
Ah, I wouldn't know. He's not here now.
Do you know when he'll be here?
Unfortunately, I don't. Mr. Marzetti's a busy person. He's not often in the club.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Except for a bottle of gin, there isn't anything that looks like real booze on these shelves. They all look like syrups or fruit juices. Well, look here. That's Howard, the older beau of little Susan Weber. I better ask a few questions before I start going around the joint. It's a silver cigarette case with the initials HP. This junk will cost at least what I make in a month. It looks like our Howard likes a lot of the cocktails in here. I'm not a guy who worries about a little theft, but now's not the right time. The waiters can handle cleaning the tables. Hi.
Hi, with whom do I have the pleasure?
Better use a fake name. I'm Ken O'Reilly. I'm a private detective.
Oh, a private detective. Fascinating. And tell me, Riley, are you one of those detectives that always goes around with a gun in their coat?
I hate guns. They just help certain detectives to feel more macho when they would be better off changing jobs instead.
Fascinating opinion. Let me introduce myself. I'm Howard Paul. Feel free to take my business card.
Howard Paul, film producer. It looks like a field where there's a lot of money to make.
Oh, but of course the real goal is to make art. Cinema is art.
Which I guess makes you an artist.
You could say that.
What are you doing here?
Oh, very simple. I was here in New York to promote my latest movie, The Little King. Mr. Marsetti insisted on my being his guest for the evening since he seems to be a big fan of mine. We spoke the entire time about how cinema can open up the world.
So, you were already able to get to know Marsetti?
Certainly, an interesting guy. We just ended our chat a few minutes ago when some urgent business kept him at his office.
So, Marsetti is still at the joint. The girl at the counter was probably told to say he was out.
Let me just say that we need more people like Marsetti. A true cinemaphile is just as important as a good director.
What type of movies do you produce?
Obviously, ones that sell well. Adventure, mystery, love stories. The genre doesn't matter. What matters is that it sells. And not to brag, but I never produced a film that didn't sell well. You must have seen The Night of the Falcon, right?
I must have missed it. I'm not a big fan of the movies.
I can assure you that you're one of the few who didn't see it. The critics considered it to be one of the best movies of the last 10 years. You know, it's about a detective, just like you. The director did a great job with the character. He's a real gentleman. He inherited from his family a lovely castle on the Scottish hills, but his incredible fame brings him around the world. From Tibet to ancient Egypt, he knows how to do almost everything. He's a martial arts master, an excellent fencer, and knows more than 8 languages. A great guy.
Right. He matches with most of the detectives I know. If it weren't for a certain dyslexia due to excessive drinking, and the fact that the most luxurious place they have ever slept in was a $1 per night motel.
You're very funny, and you have the perfect face for the movies.
When I get tired of tailing cheaters and 18-year-old runaways, I'll think about it. Bye, Howard.
Goodbye.
This is my business card.
Howard Paul, film producer. Wow, you're a producer? I would have never guessed it from the look of you.
Right. A lot of people take me for an alcoholic ex-police officer.
I don't mean to offend you, but I'd have said the same thing. How come you are here?
I have to see Marsetti. I'm looking for some fresh faces, and I was told that he could help me.
Well, if you're a producer, I guess you wouldn't bother Mr. Marsetti. He loves the movies. And maybe you might think of me if you have a part in one of your movies.
Definitely. You have the perfect face for movies.
Really?
Certainly, and I know what I'm talking about. Going back to Marsetti, can you tell me where he is?
Oh, yes, yes. He's upstairs in the last room at the end of the hall. Take the stairs to the right of the bar.
Thanks.
No problem. Remember, think of me for your movies.
Certainly. He must be Marzetti's bodyguard. Hey, Beast, I want to talk to your boss. That grimace, his size. I've already met this guy. It's the same one that tried to take off my jaw at the port. For a second, I am frozen like a statue, waiting for him to clock me with one of those hooks. Then I think about it. The port was as dark for me as it was for him. He must not have recognized me. At least, not yet.
Oscar, let him pass. Come in, sit down.
Are you Edward Marzetti?
That's right, who are you?
I'm Kennel Riley. I'm a private detective.
Kennel Riley. Interesting name. I'd have thought you were Italian from the looks of you.
You have a good eye.
As you can guess, my family's from Italy too. My parents were from a small town near Naples. Tell me, Riley, what brings you here?
I'm just passing by.
Passing by? All private detectives are always just passing by.
Right. We like to explore new places.
Come on, Riley. Let's stop faking. You're here for a reason. Which one of my customers is in trouble this time?
Looks like you're used to this type of visit.
This is a speakeasy, Riley. It's full of damn idiots ready to fall right in for the first crook that comes by. Even though access is reserved, an evening doesn't go by that new faces don't show up in this joint. It's not unusual for one of your colleagues to come by to ask questions about someone who should not have been here.
So, access to your joint is less restricted than it seems?
Looks like it. Only people on a specific list should come up. But I doubt you were on it, and yet you're here.
Aren't you worried by how easy it is to get into your joint?
The only reason for the password at the door is to make it seem exclusive for the regulars. That's it.
Talk to me about the joint.
It's one of the many joints where the New York haves come to have fun. They drink their cocktails, they hang out with a pretty girl, and the next morning they go back and wag their finger at alcoholism and prostitution as the main reasons why the city's going to the dogs.
So, your position lets you stay above all of them?
You could say that. Who do you believe governs the world? Those who have the power or those who know their secrets?
Managing a place like this lets you have more power than the people who come here.
That's right, Riley. You're a quick study.
I do what I can.
Ah, you're a great guy.
Right. And you should see the tattoo of the Balinese dancer that I have on my right thigh. What do you do for a living?
I have a few joints in New York and a couple in Los Angeles.
I know that you started from Little Italy.
I see you have been gathering information about me. I bought my first joint in the center of Little Italy called New Naples in honor of my hometown. There was still prohibition at the time, but with the right connections it was easy to make money. The rest came on its own.
You're self-made, as they say.
I'm a rather determined guy, Riley. If I want something, I get it.
I heard you're a movies fan.
Ah, I bet you've shared a few words with old Howard. That guy's a genius. You'd never think it to see him. He falls head over heels for the first woman he meets, but he has a nose for movies. He hasn't made a film that hasn't sold out.
I'm sure that the directors might have some credit, too.
Nearly all of the scripts that he has funded were, on paper, on the edge of decency, but he knew how to make the most out of them. Helped out by his financial resources, of course, and he isn't short on them.
Why did you invite him?
I have money to spend lately, and I've decided to invest it in the movies. They seem to have a good business potential. I've been courting old Howard for months to finance one of his films, but he's a tough guy. He always wants to do everything by himself, but sooner or later, I'll convince him, I'm sure.
Bye, Marzetti.
It's been a pleasure to talk with you, Riley. Come back to see me. I'll tell the bartender to let you in whenever you want. Just give your last name at the call box. You're not the kind of guy who lets a password get in his way.
Marzetti is a shrewd guy. I'll have to be very careful. I certainly can't simply ask him whether he knew Sean, but I'm sure I can find something interesting in his office. But how can I get in there without him being there?